Stand your ground. Many of the heroes of Ulster history have demonstrated the necessity of that imperative to stand your ground. Next year, we'll mark the centenary of the Battle of the Somme. And if ever men from Ulster, in face of the greatest possible adversity, stood their ground, it was the men who battled at the Somme. We've much to be grateful for those who stood their ground. And for those who don't back down, think of the men of the Covenant. Their spirit, which in spite of the odds, was we won't back down. And TUV won't back down. Stand your ground. What a contrast with the slipping and slithering of rollover unionism that last week renewed its vows in government with the IRA. It's already been suggested. Events since our last conference have validated and comprehensively vindicated the TUV analysis and our stand. Who was it that constantly challenged the convenient contention that the IRA decommissioning was complete? TUV. Who was it that derided the pretense that the IRA had disbanded? TUV. Who was it? Who was it dared to say the IRA Army Council was still there? TUV. Who was it that wasn't afraid to talk about the continuing IRA criminality? TUV. And who was it that perpetuated the myth that all was well? The IRA was gone. The Army Council was a thing of the past. Those who all the time were keeping them in government. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the dishonest pretense over devolving policing and justice. Remember Jeffrey Donaldson coming out to tell us we'll not be agreeing to policing and justice so long as there's an Army Council. Jeffrey reminds me of one of those pesky kids that was always in your class at school, who every time the teacher wanted something done, me miss. Say that the Maze Shrine's a great thing. Me Peter. Who will go out and say the Maze Shrine's a bad thing? Me Peter. Who will go out and say we'll have no policing and justice as long as there's an Army Council? Me Peter. Now it turns out the TUV was right all along.
Yeah.
And policing and justice was devolved to a terrorist, inclusive executive, controlled through Sinn Féin, the very IRA Army Council. So that no one forget, this isn't what TUV any longer says. This is what the government-appointed panel says. And you can take it, given the genesis, that it's as tame as they could make it. And it says, there is an IRA, it killed McGuigan, it's got weapons, it didn't fully decommission, it's got an army council, there are provosts who are helping the dissidents, and the army council is the controlling influence on Sinn Féin. That, ladies and gentlemen, those are the horrendous facts touching upon how this province is governed. And who keeps them in power? The very people who pulverized David Trimble over his weakness. In contrast, they boasted of their virility in putting manners on republicanism. In their 2007 manifesto, they boasted, we have successfully renegotiated the Belfast Agreement. That's worked out well. And required Republicans to give up their weapons and all paramilitary and criminal activity before they could enter government. And for good measure, they claimed that they had ensured that Sinn Féin could be excluded if it didn't live up to these standards. Now we know their partners, IRA, Sinn Féin, still have guns.
Name on them.
Their IRA can still kill. Its Army Council still calls the shots. And all that macho man, Gregory Campbell, could plaintively tell Nolan, we can't get them out. Last year, Gregory was worried about yogurt. This year, he's swallowing murder. Because, make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, the IRA murdered, the DUP has accepted that. Arlene Foster told us Sinn Féin is inextricably linked to the IRA. Yet, back into government, sweeping murder under the carpet, as if it never happened. That is the sorry plight to which that party has sunk. It is back to the bad old days. The bad old days of we still armed, still killing IRA. But now it's worse. Your heart, top of your hour. Courtesy. Those who took them there and put them there. The DUP. Little wonder, Mr. Chairman, that Sinn Féin MLAs gave Peter Robinson a standing ovation. Didn't he let them keep their Army Council? Of course he's going to get a standing ovation. We have much reason to be grateful to him. What a legacy for the man who once said that the only cabinet the IRA should be in is one with brass handles. This is the man whose legacy is the IRA in government. As Peter Robinson's peerage inevitably follows, maybe as a title, Lord Trimble-esque would be suitable. But I see Martin McGuinness is going to take him fishing. Better than shooting, I suppose. What of the fresh start? As with everything that Sinn Féin and the TUV do, it's a trade-off. This time, it's a trade-off of climb downs. Sinn Féin climbed down on welfare, except 385 million when a year ago than 540, 564. DUP's climbed down, much more shameful, ladies and gentlemen. They climbed down on murder. They tell us, but you don't understand. We've got a strategy in place to deal with paramilitarism. We're going to have to sign up, you know. Here's the problem. Those are going to ask to sign up to deal with paramilitarism. Sinn Féin, they say, us? We haven't got a paramilitary organisation, so there's nothing for us to do. Here's the inherent flaw. Mr. Robinson tells us we're all going to solemnly pledge to deal with paramilitarism, and the Republican movement says there is no IRA, there is no Army Council, there's nothing for us to do. Another fraud, another con. Sadly, the DUP toadying to Sinn Féin is nothing new. This year, we reaped what they sowed, what they did in electing a Sinn Féin speaker in Stormont. As that speaker surgically removed the national anthem as an integral part of Stormont's remembrance service. Then he hadn't reckoned with Sammy Morris. Wasn't it good to see that where the TUV leads, others follow? And unlike some, we've no apology to make to an IRA commander for honouring Her Majesty at a remembrance service, particularly recalling what the IRA did at Enniskillen. No apology whatsoever. And shame on those who grovel. I am apologizing for the singing of the national anthem. Mr. Chairman, back to the fresh start. The main driver was that the choreography required for Peter's announcement of his retirement a deal. Any Any deal would do. As long as there's a deal by a certain fixed date, it would do. And so it was. He couldn't even wait till the much heralded Chancellor of the Exchequer's statement was made 7 days later, when they would know whether the figures they were playing with were right or wrong. And 7 days later, the fresh start needs another fresh start because they got it wrong. So, I have to say, it's no fresh start. You know, it's a commentary in itself, with the very agreement that it needs, oh, so many fresh starts. It needed St. Andrews. Yes, we fixed it at St. Andrews. Remember the moose? We fixed it. And then we fixed it again at Hillsborough. And then, well, we'll fix it again. We've got a new fresh start. Commentary in itself of its inherent unfixability, because it defies the very basics and elements of democracy. And of course it is not a fresh start. It's the same old, given a few new guards to wrap itself in. That's all it is. And it too will unravel, if it isn't already beginning to unravel, as they tussle over what to do with the 240 million they don't need to give to ameliorate tax credits. Just watch that space to see how far the DUP rolls over to Sinn Féin's demands to further assist welfare benefits. Just see where that 240 million goes. There's a challenge in that agreement to many parties. There's a challenge to the SDLP. Are they going to rise from the doormat and stand up for themselves and be a party that isn't constantly stood and have their others wipe their feet on them in an executive in which they are irrelevant? One of the parties that spent 12 weeks in Stormont House, the SDLP, the Alliance, they wouldn't really care, they were just glad to be there. They knew no more about what was going on than I knew. They were kept wholly in the dark. And 45 minutes before the executive approves it, they're handed 67 pages and asked to dutifully agree. I'm sure some of them will. The SDLP need to stop being a doormat for Sinn Féin in this executive, if they ever want to assert themselves as a viable leader. The Ulster Unionists, well, they did the right thing by getting out of the executive. Think of it. The once mighty DUP, outmaneuvered by Mike Nesbitt. Any more humiliating than that? But he did the right thing. I hope he sees it through. I hope it's not just a ploy to get through the next election. And then if he can get 2 seats in the executive, he'll be back in quicker than anyone. But that's not the case. This party, the authentic voice of opposition, doesn't go hot and cold. We stick our course. Yeah. One of the warning signs from the Ulster Unionists done the right thing in pulling out of this executive. One of the warning signs is that in the same breath, Mr. Nesbitt says his vision is to get back to the 1998 vision of the Belfast Agreement. And what was the vision of the Belfast Agreement? It was no opposition, mandatory coalition. So if he's taken himself out of the executive, and his vision is to reinstate the very thing that opposition is incompatible with, then it does leave you wondering, ladies and gentlemen, about whether or not that particular policy has a sell-by date. Whether it has or not, I can tell you there'll be one party in Stormont not wilting on these issues. TUV has a positive vision for our future. We want to see liberation at home and abroad. Liberation at home from the shackles of failed mandatory coalition, and liberation for our nation from the chains of the EU. Delighted that this afternoon we will have Kate Hoey, MP, address us on the necessity to leave the EU. In terms of the liberation at home, so long as mandatory coalition is in place, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no democratic, functioning, workable, durable devolution. The only path to workable, durable devolution is the path of voluntary coalition, where those after an election who can agree on what they're going to do about health, about welfare, about education, and who together can command the requisite majority, they form the government. Those who can't, they form the opposition. A real opposition, not the neutered shadow of an opposition that the Fresh Start suggests. Proper opposition. That's the path to durable devolution. That's what in our little leaflet we call Plan A. That's our preferred option. But for school learners who find it hard to face the reality that mandatory coalition has failed, will fail, and will go on failing, we have a second plan until they come to that realization. Since it patently hasn't worked at executive level, you salvage from Stormont that which has, to a degree, worked. The law-making powers, the scrutiny powers. You give the MLAs those functions. And until you get to the point of being able to form a voluntary coalition, then the executive functions are exercised by British ministers, but they exercise them through the Assembly. There are laws going through the Assembly. The ministers being scrutinised through the Assembly. And then when the penny finally drops, the way forward is voluntary coalition. You let a local executive be formed. That's what we call Plan B in our doctrine. That is our positive vision as to how we liberate ourselves from this scandalous battle that you can't vote a party out of government, you can't change your government, you can't even have an opposition. What a catastrophic failure Sinn Féin DUP misrule has been. Based not on a cogent programme for government, but on a self-serving carve-up. That's all it is. Take our economy. Been hearing about it this morning. Manufacturing in crisis. Epitomised by the end of bitumen in my constituency. Driven by exorbitant energy prices. What does our hopeless, out of depth, deputy minister say? He says, don't let anyone tell you that manufacturing in Northern Ireland is in a difficult place. Eyeing the ball instead of eyeing the camera would suit some of our ministers better. Yesterday we had that shameful slap in the face for Rightbus and for Northern Ireland manufacturing, when another DUP minister proudly announced that a huge contract for a new fleet of buses isn't going to Ballymena, it's going to Belgium. And then they wonder, what's wrong? Then, of course, they don't see a problem. As for energy, this executive has pursued this all-Ireland-centric policy that has widened the gap between our energy prices and the lower GB prices, and aligned us bit by bit with the higher Republic's prices. And meanwhile, our vital Moyle interconnector lies only in half use, broken down, needing repair. Meanwhile, Delhi prioritises the most expensive, highly subsidised electricity of all, that produced by wind. Windbags and wind farms are putting us out of business. Money is tight. Yes, it is. Yet this executive prioritises benefits over jobs. This executive prioritises keeping benefit recipients the level to which they become accustomed over adequately funding our health and our education. And creaming off £585 million. Not new money, ladies and gentlemen. Not a handout from Westminster. Coming off our block grant. Money that otherwise would be spent on your roads, on your health, on your education. The UP Sinn Féin deal is throw it all at benefits. Budgets are stretched, but not so stretched, it seems, that Mervyn Story was able to find the money to fund the Outburst Queer Arts Festival, to stage an offensive and blasphemous play. Shame on him! Shame on him! Health waiting lists, again, out of control. Money running out. In Stormont itself, greed and squander are alive and well. I can report that to you today. Special advisors. And I brought legislation to the floor of the House to rein them in, to deal with the situation, this scandalous situation, that this small country has more special advisors in one department than the whole of the Welsh government. Peter and Marty specially cocooned, specially paid, specially protected, special advisors in Northern Ireland. The whole government of Scotland, which is more like a real government, has 14. Wales, as I've told you, has 8. But we need 19. We need to pour £2 million a year into special advisors. We have an average cost in this province of £106,000 per special advisor. In Wales, it's £60,000. And I thought it was time to do something about it, and I brought a bill to reduce the number from 8 to 4. I've still been pretty generous in the office of First and Deputy First Minister. And I brought a bill to do that and to link their salaries to a senior civil service grade. TUV was half on strike, half not. They couldn't come in to debate autism. They couldn't come in to debate waiting lists. They couldn't come in to debate cancer. But you couldn't have held them back to come in to vote down the bill. To protect their own. The shameful scandal of waste and squander protected by those who waste it. Think, hadn't time to debate the scourge of cancer, the problems of our autistic community falling over themselves, get through the lobbies to vote down anything that would curb the squander on special advisors. The squander and the greed, it's evident at every level. Take the Emma Pengellies. It speaks volumes about the DUP. This lady, on £92,000 a year as a special advisor, resigns, so to speak, on a Friday, and on Monday she's appointed as an MLA on £48,000 a year. But when she leaves her office as a special advisor, she gets a golden handshake of £46,000, 30,000 of it tax-free. And the next day, so to speak, she walks into another public post, that of an MLA, and she pockets the £46,000. And 3 weeks later, without having so much as made a maiden speech as an MLA, she's a government minister on £80,000 a year. Ladies and gentlemen, does that not speak volume? Where that party has got itself on the basic issues of probity and right and wrong, certainly does to me. Think of the squander on hospitality, wining and dining. Stormont departments in their arm's length bodies last year spent £1.8 million on wining and dining. That, ladies and gentlemen, is £35,000 a week. Twice what many a man is earning in a year. Stormont squanders on wining and dining. Your money. But you, the taxpayer, because that's where it's come from. You've spent over £100,000 coffee, scones, fruit platters for MLAs and committees, as well as for providing them with free mints in the chamber. Then the spin doctor. 160 spin doctors it takes to spin the good news of Stormont. I think 159 of them spend their time looking for the good news. It costs you £5 million a year to try and convince you that their misgovernment is good for you. The joint first ministers have 454 staff. More staff than Downing Street. Town Stormont needs more staff in the office of the joint first ministers than an international government like that in Downing Street. Think of it. How lest I forget the photographers. Ah, yes. Stormont has spent £400,000 of your money on photographers so that you can admire their every move. The Minister for Photo Opportunities. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the upcoming election, this party will be making the greed and squander of Stormont an issue at the polls. That today, and as well as demonstrating the success of TUV as that promised thorn in the flesh of Sinn Féin DUP misrule. But above all, we will lay out our positive vision of voluntary coalition and vibrant opposition as the path to durable devolution, and the means whereby the people can be liberated and empowered to change their government, to exercise the worldwide right to vote a party out of government. Because we refuse, Mr. Chairman, to be second and third class Democrats in the Western world. We refuse to be denied those basic democratic rights. That is the fresh start we need, ladies and gentlemen. Not the tired old failure of mandatory coalition dressed up in the same old rags of failure, but the fresh start that liberates us by giving to us the basic democratic rights enjoyed everywhere. The right to vote a party out of government, the right to change their government, the right to have a real opposition. This party TUV is not only the authentic voice of opposition to the tawdry regime in Stormont, we are the trailblazers for democratising Stormont. TUV will ensure that on the 5th of May, voters have that alternative, and all who proclaim themselves unhappy with the failures of Stormont will have the chance to prove it by voting for the party of positive change. I meet many people as I walk down the street, and they stop me and they say, "Jim, you're doing a great job." It's very nice. But they're going to vote to make sure that we can do an even better job. That's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you get what you vote for. And the choice in the next 6 months is more of the same failure, the same carve-up, the same repeat crisis, the same excuses. for a new vision, a real new start, a politics of principle, not expediency. The question I have for every single voter in Northern Ireland is, are you happy with what you've got? Just pause and ask yourself, if you're a voter in Northern Ireland, that question. Am I happy with what I've got? If stuck that song. And if anyone who's listening to my voice through media or otherwise honestly says, I'm not happy with what I've got, Strong, then commit today to doing something about it by voting TUV. Loudest and clearest, and no one will misunderstand what you're saying when you vote TUV. That is the vote that allows every concerned citizen to say, enough is enough, may they say. Last year, ladies and gentlemen, Henry Riley, and it's great to have Henry in our ranks to strengthen our cause. Welcome him to our team, and he won't be the last. Last year, Henry Riley and I had 100,000 votes between us in the European election. I want to speak directly to each one of those 100,000 voters. You voted for us because you respected and believed what we were saying. You knew we were right. We, by your choice, were your voice. I want to say to each one of that 100,000 voters, you can guarantee that Stormont will never be the same again by voting next year for TUV. Give this party the chance. Give this party the mandate that that volume of votes speaks to, and I guarantee you, Stormont will never be the same again. That's the challenge. That's the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure none of us miss it. It needs to be done.